Hello! Welcome to the angle introduction video, which will mainly focus on the different components of an angle and how it can be used in different parts. So let's go ahead and get started. So there are three parts to an angle, the first being the vertex itself, which is the point in the center connecting the two rays, or the two sides. One of the sides is called the initial side, which is pretty much where you start from. And the other side is called the terminal side, which is the ending part of the angle. And the angle obviously is the area between the two sides. Now the angles can be broken down into two categories, a positive angle or a negative angle. If you see a positive angle, you will see a counterclockwise rotation. And if you see a clockwise rotation, that is a negative angle. The big thing to see the difference between the two angles is the arrowhead. Please pay attention to what the arrowhead is pointing at. That is how you will indicate whether something is a counterclockwise rotation for a positive measure or a clockwise rotation for a negative measure. As for the rotations themselves, a complete rotation is 360 degrees. Now, it doesn't have to stop at 360. That is not the maximum. An angle can do multiple rotations to produce a measure that is larger than 360 degrees. And we will cover more of that in a future topic. As for the angles themselves, the measurements, we are going to first use the Greek letter theta to represent the degree of an angle. You will use that sign, or you'll see that sign throughout the course. So the first type of angle you will see is called an acute triangle, which is an angle measurement between 0 and 90 degrees. If you have an angle that is exactly 90 degrees, that is a right triangle. If it is between 90 and 180, that is an obtuse triangle. And if you have a straight angle, that is exactly 180 degrees. When you start manipulating the angles together, if you have a sum of two positive angles being 90 degrees, those will be the complementary angles. And if you have the sum of two positive angles being 180 degrees, those are supplementary angles. They do not have to be adjacent to each other. You may have some situations where they are separated, but if you add them together, they are still complementary or supplementary. When we start incorporating triangles, these are the three different classifications. You can have an acute triangle, which is where all the angles are acute or less than 90 degrees. If you have one right angle or 90 degrees, that is called the right triangle, and this is where a majority of the trig functions and topics will cover. The last type of triangle is the obtuse triangle, where you have one angle that is between 90 and 180. And don't forget that the sum of measures of the interior angles of any triangle is 180 degrees. The last thing we'll cover is the classification of triangles based on the sides. If all sides are equal, that is an equilateral triangle. If you have an isosceles triangle, then at least two sides are equal. So you can say that an equilateral triangle is also an isosceles, but you can't say it the other way around. The last triangle is called the scalene triangle, which is where no sides are equal. And there you go. That covers the concepts of the angle introductions.